MTS moves real evidence and alters it. Fellow American citizens and fellow San Diegans. I'm in San Diego right now. I'm getting ready to transfer to you a digital audio file in reference to David Larson. Now, who is David Larson? David Larson was a presidential candidate, an independent ticket. I believe it was in 2000. He was either in 2009 or 10 or 2008 and 9. You can go to Google and look it up. He also has a website called larsonmedia.net. Thoroughly review Larson, David Larson. He is now the current head director of the Water Board in Yucca Valley, California. This is him engaging in a talk show on the internet. Listen very carefully to everything he has to say. Now understand this and be clear as well. When he talks about the MK Ultra, I want you to understand something. When you go to Google and type in a gang stalking tech, everything you need to know, which is a manifesto of a manager of gang stalking crews, in that manifesto he talks about Irvin Cameron. Irvin Cameron was part of the MK Ultras back in the 70s and the 80s. He was the one who got who tested people for psychic driving, and that will be explained in another YouTube video. And I'm gonna, if I remember to, at least right away. In other words, like when I upload this YouTube video, if I don't include in the comments feature information about Irvin Cameron, very soon I'll do it in the near future. I'm gonna be downloading right now I transferred what was on the radio talk show to this digital tape recorder over at USD. Please listen to what David Larson has to say, and make sure that you thoroughly listen to what he has to say in reference to the government being able to monitor your physiological responses. Now, in the remote neural monitoring file, the physiological responses are how they can use the central nervous system as a conduit for the remote neural monitoring. And your physiological responses, your physiological signals are sent through the central nervous system. And this is exactly what he means when he talks about it. Listen to this, understand this, and be clear. And also make sure that you definitely 100% listen to the videos that are in the comments feature of this one, because it will literally open up your mind to the factual realities of what is happening to me and hundreds of thousands of American citizens.
Well, first and foremost, I think that number one, we need to take those allegations seriously. It's nothing to joke about, and it's sad that local law enforcement agencies and individuals in the public would scoff at that, because what James Walbert is saying has actually been substantiated in our past. In 1977, the Senate investigated the MK Ultra program of the Central Intelligence Agency, and it has been substantiated through Senate testimony that, number one, the CIA did use innocent American civilians as unwitting research subjects. Most importantly, the Inspector General of the CIA was permitted to conduct a very candid review of these CIA operations, and the Inspector General's report has been declassified. It has been released to the public, so this is available for public consumption. And that Inspector General's report says right in it that CIA was using devices for remote monitoring of physiological signals as part of MK Ultra. And what makes that significant is that this isn't just a LSD program or a drug program. This program involved surreptitiously placing medical devices into U.S. citizens for medical experiments. And while the Inspector General report says that these devices were used for a monitoring or surveillance capability, the same Inspector General's report, a few pages later, substantiates that the American intelligence capability to control and manipulate human behavior is a closely held secret, and a need-to-know doctrine was applied to associates within the agency. So these are credible sources. We're talking about senators, the Director of Central Intelligence, and the Inspector General of the Central Intelligence Agency. And when these individuals say that CIA is using devices for remote monitoring of physiological signals, and that CIA possesses a capability to control and manipulate human behavior. That is an authoritative source. They are not to be disputed. They know what they're talking about. And through my involvement with contract personnel, I can verify as well that the Inspector General was not lying when he said these things. The CIA does in fact use devices for remote monitoring of physiological signals. They do in fact possess a capability to control and manipulate human behavior with these devices. And what I find to be extremely repulsive is that the government would number one, target its own citizens with that capability. And even more disgusting is to use it against elected officials or the other branches of government. And there is some evidence that indicates that this has happened. And that's primarily what has compelled me to come on today and talk to you and your listeners, is that we're not just talking about terrorists. We're talking about articulate, well-spoken individuals such as myself, such as Mr. Walbert. These are people who have not been convicted of a crime. And it's my opinion that the intelligence activities that have been directed at U.S. citizens grossly and deeply undermine our U.S. constitutional rights, our human rights, our civil rights, and there is some disturbing use of this technology. That's why I'm here, Jason, is we need to substantiate that, number one, this is happening. Number two, it's happening domestically. Number three, that it's a problem. And also discuss a little bit about the potential abuse on the other two branches of government and how this could be used to undermine our democracy, sir.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you this, David. Is this the first time that you've spoken publicly about this? Because for me, this is I've known about this for a long time, at least 20 years, and I've known a lot of survivors and people that were involved with MK Ultra, and I'm quite well known for that in that particular area. But is this, I mean, generally speaking, when you speak about this stuff, from what I've seen, that people just brush it off and they just can't handle the truth at all. I mean, has that been an experience of yours too, that people just don't want to hear about this when you talk about it?
Well, absolutely. Number one, I think a lot of the people who have been victimized by these activities, a lot of them don't possess the knowledge, the factual information, or the ability to advocate in an effective manner. And I think that they have been scoffed at, they've been ridiculed, and that's unfortunate, because this is, number one, substantiated that these activities have occurred. And number two, there is a real problem with the way it's been abused domestically against our own citizens.
Mm-hmm. Now, James, this is for you, James and David. What physiologically have you gone through in your own body? What symptoms have you had to go through living with this inside of you?
Okay, now I want you to listen to this, because I experience every single thing James Walbert talks about. Listen closely.
A lot of nervous system stimulation, and I mean to the point where I can't even hold a pen sometimes. I try to maybe type an email or something. It seems to be that they are so meticulous with their observation and their monitoring skills that they're able to actually tell when I'm executing an email of importance or any tasks of importance. If I try to actually write something, I have very legible handwriting. My handwriting is very well. I'm well educated. I don't have problems sending emails or typing or writing, and it would seem to be to me that their observations are so meticulous that they can actually tell when I'm going to do something that requires me to have legible handwriting or legible emails, and I will start to tremble to the point where I can't even pick up a pen, or they'll disrupt me to the point where I can't remember anything at all. And the reason that I can actually pinpoint these occasions, which are almost to a daily basis now, is because I can feel the electricity come down the left side of my ear and into my neck, and I can start to taste metallic in my mouth. So it's right above my ear, and I can actually start to hear the implant itself hissing. It'll make a hissing noise right above my left ear. So that's been my experience. My doctors have shown neurological and pathological physical injuries to my body, as well as nervous system damages. So, and that's been cited by subsequent scientist, Dr. Hildegarde Manager, as well as several medical doctors here in the city of Wichita.
What about you, David?
James, my experience has been that I am very confident that the U.S. government, the U.S. intelligence agencies, possess an unparalleled capability to place a person under surveillance using implantable biomedical technology. And that's a capability that could be used in a healthy manner to help our country, to give us a strategic advantage over the enemy. And I don't have as much of a problem with that. But the big problem I've had is that there is indeed a capability to actually control and manipulate the actions and behavior of the affected individuals. And I think that's where we get into some very deep constitutional rights violations. That's when this thing could be exploited domestically for a partisan agenda. Specifically, number one, I touched on the fact that back in 1963, when the Inspector General of the CIA substantiated that CIA was using devices for remote monitoring of physiological signals, there was a very experienced intelligence veteran named Victor Marchetti who gave a media interview in the 70s. And Victor Marchetti substantiated that during the 70s and during the Nixon administration, that the CIA's claims to have discontinued these activities was a cover story. So it appears that the Nixon administration continued to rely on this capability. And without going into a whole lot of detail, there is a very compelling amount of evidence that indicates biomedical technology was being deployed upon Democrats at Watergate. And now, more recently, after the same Dick Cheney has gotten back into the White House, we've learned once again that another program has been kept secret from Congress for several years. The recent Obama Director of Central Intelligence, Leon Panetta, has disclosed to Congress that, hey, under the Bush administration, a program was conducted for several years with no statutory congressional notification. And it's my allegation, and I have made these allegations in a formal manner to the Attorney General, that biomedical intelligence activities have been directed at our people who legislate in Washington, D.C. It is very hard to substantiate this. However, I am confident that such abuses have occurred. I've brought forth the formal allegation, and I hope, my hope and expectation is that this administration can see fit to, number one, investigate these claims, and number two, take some action as necessary to deter those kind of abuses. Because now we're not talking about Al-Qaeda. Now we're talking about our legislators in Washington, D.C., who appear to have been, number one, targeted in such a manner during Watergate, and number two, it appears that they've gone down that road again.
Okay, all right, hang on, guys. We're just going to take a quick break here. I know you're covering some major material here. This is Manchurian Candidate style, everybody. This is what I've been talking about.
All right, fellow American citizens, please make sure that you thoroughly look at what is in the comments features of this YouTube video. My name is Leslie Williams. I'm in San Diego, California. I've been a target of this crime ever since I was born, literally because of who my father is. He was Chief MP to Curtis LeMay. I had NASA in my family, Air Force all throughout my family, as far as cousins, first cousins and uncles. My ex-husband was in the military. I wanted to join the military back in '88, and they prevented that because they were tracking me my whole life, and I didn't know it. And so the only thing I can tell you right now today, fellow American citizens, is that I am still literally being used for human experimentation. Go to Google and type in Oakwood Hospital doctor caught falsely diagnosing hundreds of kids under the guise of epilepsy and putting implants in their heads. Then go to Freedom Fighters for America and look on their webpage, and you'll find diagrams of a Terry Parker Jr. Back in 1967, I believe it was. 47 metallic implants put in his head under the guise of epilepsy in Canada. Canada is not even 5 minutes away from Dearborn, Michigan. Understand this, and I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, which is right next door geographically to Dearborn, Michigan. Understand this and be clear, fellow American citizens. I have literally been tracked my whole entire life, and I am still today being subjected to this human experimentation. I have at least 5 implants in my body, including at least one in each of my ears. Probably I have a high, I'm 99% sure I got one on the top of my head, one in my left back, my back left shoulder blade, and I believe I have a couple in my spine, one in my bladder, and at least one in my foot. My name is Leslie Williams, and the government is going to do anything and everything to discredit me by calling me either some type of social deviant, a drug user, or that I'm mentally ill, in order to be able to protect the expedition that's been brought about towards me, the manipulation that's been done to me, the crimes that have happened to me as a result of this, and the neural entrainment that they tried to achieve in Dearborn, Michigan as an adult. My name is Leslie Williams. The only thing I can do is try and help American citizens understand that this is not just happening to me. Go to YouTube and type in bioethics Timothy W. He talks about brain entrainment. I'm an innocent woman. I'm a good woman. I'm a decent woman. I'm a Christian. And it wouldn't matter if I wasn't a Christian or not, because this is a human being thing. You would not believe what I suffer on a daily basis. I am literally harassed through remote neural monitoring about my own evoked potentials. Everywhere I go, where they can literally triangulate the frequency in order for me to be able to hear it, because the neural phone is also being used as well. Go to Google and type in www.surveillanceissues.com and thoroughly scrutinize everything on their webpage. I gotta go. Today's date is April 4th, 2012. I'm in San Diego, California. I do not do drugs. I do not drink. I do not involve myself in any illegal activity whatsoever. I do not break the law in any way, shape, or form. I'm a good woman. I'm a decent woman. I bother no one, and I'm being gang stalked, which is also called organized stalking, along all of my routes. The San Diego police are directly involved in this crime. Oh, and you can also go to Google and type in Ramona Lopez. Yeah, she's a California target as well. My name is Leslie Williams, April 4th, 2012.